So I'm not going to touch the enders yet. We're going to go through the whole roll first, and then we'll come back. Okay, coin number 1 gets set aside. All right, coin number 2 is an 1884 New Orleans. All right. Not a bad strike. I mean, for New Orleans, that's not terrible. It's got a few hits on the face. All right. That's coin number 2. Coin number 3 is an 1887 Philly. That doesn't look too bad. Well, all right, we do have some hits and some scuffing. Not the best strike in the world. Well, that's a little better. We still have some hits here and there. Typical for these dollars. All right, coin number 4. Another 87, another 87 Philly. And a few hits. Well, the reverse looks kind of nice. Very reflective surfaces. Okay. That's number 4. Number 5. Looks like we've got a pattern here. Another 87. Yeah, another 87 Philadelphia. And I don't know that we really need to run this one under the scope. Well, let's see how bad that face hit is. All right, it's not that deep, but it is there. There's some chatter out in the fields. Overall, not terrible. We got somebody's fingerprints on it, though. All right, that's coin number 5. Let me know in the comments what you think so far. All right, we've got another 87 with some facial damage. Yep, another 87p with a little bit of toning. That's kind of pretty. All right, we do have some hits and some dings. But that's really nice right there. And pretty nice luster, actually. I mean, definitely seen worse, but, you know, don't know how high a grade that would get. But all right, that's number 6. All right, this is number 7. All right, 1885. At least it's not an 87. 85 Philly. Wow, very nice reverse luster. All right, what does this one look like? Wow, okay, that almost is a PL candidate right there. Look at that. My goodness. Typical chatter in the fields. I'd say an average strike for Philly. Oh, that reverse is beautiful. Look at that. Couple of hits in the fields. Man, that's pretty. Okay, wow. I could look at that for a while. All right, but I won't. We'll keep moving. That was number 7. All right, coin number 8. Looks like we're at an 1897. And that's another Philly. Okay. That doesn't look half bad, actually. not a great strike, but the abrasions and the chatter in the fields, not too bad, really. All right, the reverse again, a few hits here and there. Very, very typical for these. All right, that's number 8. Coin number 9. 1902. Okay. 19020. Very nice. All right. And that doesn't look too bad. The strike is about typical for New Orleans. The noise and chatter out in the fields and on the cheek is about typical as well. Abrasions don't mean it's not a mint state coin. And I am looking at some reflectivity that might warrant a PL evaluation, but I would have to look at that a lot more closely. But I can't say I'm terribly upset with that one. That's not a bad looking coin. All right, that was coin number 9. Oh, wait a minute. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. Yes, that was number 9. Okay. Coin number 10. We are halfway done. And if you are enjoying this roll reveal and would like to see me be able to do more like this, do me a solid and hit that subscribe and like button. That tells YouTube that they should tell other people like you to watch this video. Thank you. All right, we've got a 1900 O that doesn't look too shabby at all. That is not a bad looking strike for the hairline out of New Orleans. And the bag marks and abrasions are, again, nothing terrible or out of the ordinary for these coins. That is pretty decent looking, in my opinion. And again, a couple of hits, couple of marks, but a pretty nice solid strike on the reverse for New Orleans. Okay, halfway there. Now, I have to say that compared to CC1 and CC2, for those of you that are familiar with those, and they are still available on the channel, I am kind of pleased with some of the variety of dates and mint marks. Yes, we've got some duplicates. Here's another one, a 19020, but they're not all the same date like we had with a couple of the last ones. And that's not a bad specimen again for New Orleans right there. All right, the reverse got that hit at the top, but otherwise is pretty decent. All right, one there at the left and another small one at the right, but that's not too shabby. All right, that was number 11. Number 12. And the date variety continues. Very nice. 1904, New Orleans. Okay. That's got a little bit more abrasions than I would like, but pretty typical again. Typical soft New Orleans strike. Obverse and reverse. And we might have a nice little die break going on up there. And I think that warrants a little bit closer inspection. Because, yes, it does. Look at that. So going all the way from the U through the N, the I, the T, the E, going up into the rim. It's possible there may be more. There's a little bit there between the rim going into the M and the E. All right, looks like that may be about it. But that's pretty cool. I always love seeing die cracks like that. So that's a 19040. That is coin number what? 3, 6, 7, 10. That is 12. We are on lucky number 13. And that is in 1886. I'm loving the variety of dates. All right, 1886p. Nice cartwheel luster on that one. 86. Well, not the best strike for Philly. A little bit of hits in the field and on her cheek there. All right, reverse doesn't look too bad. A little bit of noise out there on the right. But that doesn't look half bad. All right, we do have a hit across the breast. I just noticed that. All right. Well, maybe that's not so lucky, number 13. How about number 14? All right, we got another 86. Philly. All right, that one doesn't look too bad. You know, we've got the bag marks and abrasions that are typical, but that's a pretty nice strike. Not unhappy with that. Reverse. A little bit of noise, but not too shabby. Decent strike. I like that. All right, that was number 14. Number 15. 87. Philly. Let me know in the comments what you think so far. All right. 87 Philly, a little bit flat. A little bit of noise out there in front of the face. Nothing spectacular there. All right, that's number 15. Number 16. 1885. New Orleans. Again, typical New Orleans strike. A little bit of noise, but not too bad, really. A couple of hits to the cheek. Not a bad reverse for New Orleans. Couple of hits on the reverse. Overall, not too bad. Number 17. Wait a minute. 16. No, 17, 18. Yeah, this is 17. Okay, I'm getting confused. All right, 86. Philly. Yeah, a little more noise than I'd like and a little bit of a flat strike. Or that could even be a little bit of wear. That might almost be an AU slider right there. I mean, it's not a bad looking coin, but I'm not convinced that's a full mint state. If it is, it's just a very weak strike. Okay. Number 18. Another 85. New Orleans. Not too bad. Hairline is, average, but for New Orleans, that's typical. Few marks and abrasions. All right, the reverse looks a little better, but we do have some hits out there on the left. And a few more out on the right. Okay, so that is number 18. Number 19 is in 1885, New Orleans. All right, we're hitting some repetition now, but that's okay. At least we had a decent variety throughout the roll. All right, that is another pancake strike right there, or potentially an AU slider. Yeah, I would almost be inclined to call that AU 55 or even 58. Not sure that is totally mint state right there, but that's okay. All right, now here is where we are. Coin number 1 and coin number 20. So, first off, let's take a look at the reverse of coin number 1. Oh my. Okay, that actually looks pretty darn nice. That warrants a look over here. Well, no, it doesn't. Okay, it warrants a look over here. There we go. All right, we got a couple of hits out on the left and a little bit of noise up at the top there. But oh boy, that's not too shabby. All right. And got some beautiful reflectivity, a little bit of cameo even happening. All right, so the question we all want to know is, what is the date and what does the obverse look like? So, without further ado, 1883. All right, we've got a few hits. Doesn't look like it's been devastated. A decent strike. All right, we do have some hits on the chin and on the face. A few more out in the fields there. A few behind her head. But on balance, for Carson City, I'm not really upset with this coin. I mean, we do have a rim hit right there. And we've got some hits on the face that would be nice if they weren't there. But if they all were that nice, well, then they'd all grade mint state 69 and they wouldn't be worth that much, would they? So this one is an interesting coin. This will have to go off for grading. The question is, do I request PL designation? And where do I send it? Let me know in the comments. What do you think of this one? What do you think this one would grade? 1883 CC. All right, that is coin number 1. Coin number 20 looks like this. And wow, again, beautiful cartwheel luster. I am not seeing a great deal of bag marks or abrasions. Wow, some small hits out on the right, couple more on the left. That is amazing. And is that another die break up there? Yeah, I believe it is. Look at this. Between the star and the U, between the I and the T, the E, the D, and the wing and the S. Continuing around. Oh my goodness. All right, there's that light hit we saw before. Wow, a little bit of die break in there. All right, very interesting coin. So, I gotta say, I'm very pleased with the reverse, but as with coin number one, the real test, what's the date? All right, we got an 1884. And it looks like she's got a couple of hits, but I can't say I'm devastated with that. Let's see. All right, yeah, I mean there is some noise and some chatter, and the face has a few hits on it. I don't know that this would grade, real high, but that's not a bad strike for the face, or for the hairline rather. And a lot of the hits that are there are really more superficial than anything else. There isn't anything that is like a real sharp, deep hit. More like just general noise and chatter out there, which honestly doesn't really bother me. I mean, there are a couple of hits on the chin there that are a little worse than the rest, and maybe down on the neck as well. But by far not the worst Morgan dollar I've ever seen. And for a Carson City, no less. Let's face it. All right. Well, that is coin number 20. So what we have is a pretty decent assortment, I have to say, of, nice looking Morgan dollars on balance, and a pretty nice looking 1883 CC, and a pretty nice looking 84 CC. So Carson City roll number 3, I gotta say, did not really let me down. Ultimately, it'll come down to the grading and how they return, whether they come back details, genuine, or if they come back straight grade. But let me know in the comments what you all think, and I'd be curious to know your thoughts on the grades and whether or not you like this video. So I will be doing another roll opening. I have yet another one. That will be CC roll number 4. So you don't want to miss it. You know what you got to do. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and I appreciate all of you watching. See you next time.